This Sunday. Every Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands for the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
East side of Chicago, back in the USA, back in the bad old days. In the heat of a summer night, in the land of the dollar bill, when the town of Chicago died, and they talk about it still.
All right, you know what? You're going to be talking about this show still for a long time to come, because this song is in honor of our good friend and retired NYPD policeman, Dennis the Goat Man. This was his favorite police-related song. And, you know, it's got some, you could argue it back and forth. But the one I wanted, Chris, I couldn't get. They wouldn't let me download it. So we're here with Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show, with your hosts, Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, and very special guest today, Mr. Jon Schwartz. John, how are you doing today?
We're doing well today.
Excellent. We're all in attendance. And
yes, it's good to see you, John. It is good to see you.
Listen, you got to swear me in. This is like going to court.
Oh, you've already been sworn in.
I've been sworn at.
So have we.
Exactly. So listen, we're doing we're doing a show today that we talked about it last week. We're going to talk about the Edward Byrne Foundation. Of course, this is something that happened in New York. We'll let John give us the details because he was, he's the man on the street. But to let people know, you can call and you can talk to John, ask questions at 516-572-7440. Or Chris, can people text?
Yes, you can. You could text and speak to John at 203-670-4127. So and that'll get you right here to me, right here in the Constitution State studio of Motormouth Radio. We'll get you right here.
Which was the nutmeg state?
We nutmeg Constitution, we're also the high tax state,
right.
The can't make a left-hand turn state, that's what.
All right. So yeah. And then of course this show will go up later on Spreaker. It'll be on iHeart and TuneIn, Audacity, all those good places. Also on YouTube, on Motormouth Radio and Motormouth Video, if you want to see the fun. So John, kick us off. Tell us why we're here today and what what this is all about.
Well, we woke up this morning.
We were lucky to do that. Yes.
Yes.
You do it 2 days in a row, you're on a roll.
I got that right.
So right now, myself and my partner, Jay Caputo, we are part and founders of the Police Officer Edward Byrne Foundation. Mm-hmm. It's a foundation that we set up about a year ago to bring attention to the restoration of the police car that Eddie Byrne was sitting in when he was a victim of a homicide, as well as bring awareness to brand new cops going through the police academy, as well as veteran cops, and also as a learning tool for situational awareness, among other things. It's also based on the heritage of the NYPD, something that I'm very close with. We wanted to make sure that the car was restored in a proper and dignified manner, and also we created the foundation because we needed the help.
So as with most organizations, I'm sure this wasn't just a 1, 2, 3. Hey, we want to take that car and restore it. We're gonna, can you help us out? And bing, it was done.
Right. It's not like when you're a kid. Hey, let's do a circus, guys. Let's everybody get together. No, it's just
Let's have a show.
It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. There was some. We had 5 years to really fight to get this car, and when we finally got it, I'm like, okay, we got it. Now what are we gonna do? But we had already had a plan. Jason had a vision that he wanted to pull out, and I have the same visions that he has. I'm more of the logistics guy. Somebody's got to be the realist. So I had to bring him down a little bit, but his vision we're bringing to fruition, which is the most important thing. Okay. And then to get the talent of guys to do it, we had a great pool of talents that we used. Yeah. And we were afforded an opportunity where we were able to do it, and plus the guys we were able to put together to have it done. Have a combination of retired New York City as well as Nassau County detectives that are doing this.
So, John, basically what we're talking about is the patrol car that Officer Byrne was killed in is the car that is being restored to basically to a condition. Will it be in running condition or no?
It's not going to run. We don't want it to run. That was never our plan. I didn't want to drag this car around to different car shows and have it running, and it just took away from the what's the best way to? It took away from the situation. The car itself is never going to run. Nobody's ever going to sit in the car. It is being restored to near museum quality, but more along the lines of the quality it was the day it was sitting there.
Right. So for people like we all work on cars, we've restored cars, and we've restored some pretty bad cars. How bad? What shape was this car in when you guys took it over? Because
it was bad. It was real bad. I mean, we basically had to remanufacture this car. If you know that a car is put together in several metal pieces and they're joined, with welding, spot welding, and there were sections of the car that were missing that we needed to have so you could weld metal to. And we had to get 3 donor cars to cut the car apart just to get those parts, and whatever we couldn't get, we had to make. Because they just don't make repair parts. We had some input from GM Archives. They were pretty good. They have something called the Heritage Center. They put us in touch with some of the engineers that have worked on those cars. So we kind of knew what we needed to do with that. But again, the guys I was with, I've been on cars since I'm probably about 12 years old. And Jay was trained as a mechanic also. And then Mike, one of my partners, and when I was on patrol, he's a car guy. He builds race cars. And then another guy, Charlie, and then Manny. All of us all have the mechanical background. So we had the ability to do what we needed to be done. It's just the best way to do it.
Well, like you said, when you need to weld on a panel and what that panel welds to doesn't exist.
Yeah, there was nothing there.
I mean, that's a restorer's nightmare. That's what we deal with. And that's
John,
what is this thing really worth? And of course that is worth.
It's real quick, but let's put it this way. This thing gave Fred Flintstone a run for his money. There was no floor left whatsoever.
Right.
From the gas pedal to the back, there was nothing left.
I was going to ask.
From the forklift, the way it was moved, the forklift had caved in the floor?
No, the floor rotted out because anytime the car was open to the elements for...
Okay.
Well, it was on the pier, and then from the pier, we went to College Point, when the front windows were blown out, so the water got into the car. So water, rubber, metal, not a good... And then put a fire in there, warp the panels.
Yeah, and we're talking 80s metal, too. We're not talking 60s or 50s metal.
80s metal is actually pretty good because the trunk was in still in pretty great shape. The problem was the hurricane did it in. It flooded up to the roof line, and the water sat in the car for 5 days before it receded.
Yeah, that's
That's done. And that's salt water. That's done. That's a killer right there.
Right. Yeah, so you guys are really pulling everything out that and I mean,
and then some.
Yeah, when you're doing work like that, you're in a territory where because if it was a personal project, just a car you were going to rebuild, you say, you know what? No, let's get a better shell.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it almost got to that point. It was a lot of conversation about that. Is it? But no, it's his car. It's got to get done. We used as much of the original metal as possible in that car. I mean, obviously the quarter panels, I had to cut the roof off. We had to cut the floors out. The bottom of the bulkhead, the firewall. We had to take the engine and transmission out of the car. The car had been in 3 accidents in its short term in life. It was on the street for 11 months and went into service on March 10th, 1987, because somebody wrote in the trunk when he did the wiring on the car. So we had the pedigree of the car, and it was hammered pretty well because that particular command They were harder than their police cars.
Yeah, right.
And the
right.
reason it was sitting at that spot in the first place because they had blown out the power steering pump.
Oh,
So the car couldn't drive around, but it had heat. So at least, Eddie had someplace to sit,
right.
Right.
the weather, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
John, why was the car saved in the first place? I know that may be a stupid question, but it's something I think should be talked about.
Well, you're right. Could be a stupid question, but it's not. So what happens is the car was part of the crime scene. And I'm not going to go into any more particulars in regards to that, but
Right.
it was police officer killed in that vehicle. The car was stored. It was saved. It went through the state trial, then it went to the federal trial, and then it was being held. That's all I want to comment on that as to why, but it was held.
And you couldn't put it in a property room, so it had to go,
It had to go in a garage, and then
somewhere.
when they lost the garage space, they had to put it in the open, and when they got a chance to put it back in the garage, they put it back in the garage, and then it got wet, and then it got burnt up.
So the NYPD had the same problem that we have with our own cars. Like like I just lost a garage last year. It's like, yeah, now the car's on the street.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not 100% the way they kept the car, but, you had issues. There was other cars, some other police homicides are in the same condition or even worse, and some of those cars didn't get saved. They got shredded.
Right.
So they were gone.
So we have you have your partner Jason Caputo and Mike Sirocco. Is that how you say his name?
Mike Sirocco, and Manny Nash, Charlie Johnson, Eddie O'Connor, and Mike Schneider.
Okay.
These guys are all part and parcel of our little team. A lot of us worked on the Model A project for Nassau County Police Department for the 100th anniversary. That's how this started.
Okay.
And a question came down from another guy who shall remain nameless, and he's like, "Okay, guys, what's our next project?"
Yeah.
Well, I got this car and I got this partner who's been bugging me. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
And they didn't even hesitate. And the guy who gave us the permission said, "Yeah, I'm in."
Yeah.
100%.
That's good.
Matter of fact, he even, at the Nassau County Police Department dedication for the Model A, he twisted his speech to reflect on, hey, this is what we're going to do. And these are the guys who are going to do it. And they've been great.
So, Chris, as you know, in the circles that we deal in, there's a lot of, you're going to hear a lot of, well, we can't say that guy's name or this is unknown.
Right.
But listen,
Always.
get on a phone, call John, 516-572-7440. Let's get a conversation rolling. So you guys, do you all bring a little bit different of talent to the team, or do you guys overlap a lot? Or
Yeah, we overlap a lot. I mean, Mike Sirocco's and Mike and Charlie, just phenomenal mechanics. I watched Charlie in action when we did the Model A, just what he knew in the back of his head. He's probably forgotten more than I'll ever know. And I've been around cars on and off my whole life, really. But mechanic did a body work. I did several body work restoration myself. I don't know if you've seen my GTO.
Yeah.
You've seen my 106 car and then the highway car. All of these cars I all did myself. Jason, same thing. He's got a beautiful, beautiful Caprice, the Eddie Byrne tribute car that he built. He's got a 79 Trans Am that he's had since forever.
Wow.
He's meticulous when it comes to his stuff. I mean, even his garage, you could do the garage floor. And Eddie, same thing. Eddie did body work. He's an electronics wiring guy. And Manny, I can't speak better than Manny. Manny's a phenomenal guy. He also started life. He'd go out on a date. He'd get paid. First thing he did, he went to the parcel, bought a new clutch for his Firebird because he knew he was going to blow it up. And and 2 hours later, he had the transmission out, the clutch was in the car, and he's out on his date. You know? So you had these guys that had this background, and we just all naturally gravitated to each other. And, it's you bond over stuff like that. And then, you pick off and you feed off the other guy's talents. So it just makes for a better crew. So it's definitely an overlap.
Well, plus you guys have the job in common. There's a lot of, have that history and that brotherhood in common, which just adds to the whole thing. So I do see the light is flashing. So let's go to the phone in the front and say hi. You're on with Ray, Chris, and John.
Hello, Ray, Chris, and John. I hope everybody survived Snowmageddon.
Yeah, what's going on, John? We're talking about
John.
The tribute car today. What do you got? What do you got to add?
No, I was enjoying the conversation. My father-in-law was a NYPD officer, and oh my God, listening to him when I first met him, and he used to say things like, "Yeah, the radio car," and I go, "What the hell's a radio car?" They all had radios in them.
Okay,
but they didn't all have two-way communication. Like hey, I got a situation here. I need help.
Yeah, so he was a little more old school.
He was on the job in the 60s.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just funny. You listen to the history of, you know, the cars didn't have radios in them.
They were called RMPs, Radio Motor Patrol. And before they had the radios in the cars, at the advent in the 1960s, they had the walkie-talkies. And they had these big, cumbersome boxes. And the guys used to bring them out in the cars with them, if you're lucky, if you got one.
Actually, bringing up Dennis the Goat Man again, he told me he's used that as a weapon a few times against people. And it worked very well.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know. Well, Dennis isn't here to be brought back on charges, so we can talk about him. Unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago.
Oh, lack of body cameras.
Yeah. All right, John, let me run. We got another caller on the line.
All right. Guys, have a great day. John, have a good retirement.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, bye.
So long.
Take care, John.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Back to the phones, back to the fun. You're on with the Motor Mouths and John.
Hey, Small Engine Kenny here. How you doing, guys?
Good, Kenny. What's happening?
Hey, Kenny.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, my first experience with a cop car, and thank you guys for your service. It is much appreciated, even though I'm in Connecticut. We do appreciate everything you do. My first cop car experience, 1968, Nova. We had no ambulances in our town. I went through a plate glass window, had a vein severed. They picked me up in a 68 cop car Nova with a bubble gum machine light on the roof.
Right.
I'll never forget that.
So that was your
never forget it.
That was your transport to the ER, huh?
And that was it, because we didn't have our first Cadillac ambulance for another 10 years.
Well,
yeah,
that's what happens. You know what? Police know how to get the job done no matter what the circumstance. There's a perfect example.
Yep, they said it would have bled to death, so I thank God for that. But again, John, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing for that cause, and I wish you well.
Thank you for the consideration. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Ken.
Take care.
Right.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah. That's
wow.
Yeah. Be like Kenny and John, 516-572-7440. You can get in on the fun.
John, why did it take so long for the car to get restored, basically? Because we're talking about over 30 years, and we know it had a significant time as being part of the trial. But why? What was with that gap in time to finally get that car restored?
You know, Jason had been looking at the car for long. We saw the car for years because I worked on a unit. We were constantly in and out of the auto pound where the car was stored, and you'd see the cars. You would pay homage. You go down. They called it the row, where all the cars and the police homicides were stored. And you would go down the road. You pay homage, and you would watch them deteriorate. And you're like, this is a shame. Why don't they wrap these cars? It was just open to the elements. And then Jason really got a bug when he was assigned to the property clerk for a little while, and he would see that car every day, and he just would lose his mind. And then, of course, because he's so infectious with his exuberance, he got me into this thing. So we've been trying for the better part of almost 6 years now to get a hold of the cars. It's just a stumbling block. You got to get people to see the same vision. They didn't understand. There's the element with the family. You know, you want to honor them. You want to make sure that they're okay. Then you have to deal with the red tape from the district attorney's office and the police department, and then just who's going to do this, what we're going to do, where we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, and who's going to pay. So it just becomes a whole process. But it took us a long time to get it done. Then one day the moons are in the right orbit, and it happened. And I got a call on March 5th, go get the car on March 6th, and that was a year ago.
So departmental red tape aside, how was the family's feelings about this? What was the aspect on that end?
They were very, very reserved. I mean, I know, and I can go on record by saying years ago, Dad, Matt Byrne, wanted the car destroyed. And older brother Larry, who had become Deputy Commissioner of Legal Matters for the NYPD, wanted the car destroyed. And it was probably fitting that it should have been destroyed. The fact that it survived the hurricane and it survived a fire, surrounded by other cars that basically burned to the ground, is testament to the fact that somebody was looking out for that car.
Yeah, kind of like a message, like, hey.
So once that happened, we kind of said, we got to get this car. Yeah. And Jay and myself, but Jay had long conversations with the brothers. He knew Larry. He remembered that he did the dad's funeral. He knew Larry. He knew Steve and Kenny. And we explained to him what we were going to do and why we were doing this. And they were okay with it. I mean, there was some moments here and there, and you know, I won't go any further with that. But
Yeah. Anytime you lose a loved one in the family, I mean, we've all gone through that family.
you know, we saw them the other night.
We
saw them the other night at the memorial, and
yeah,
they're okay.
Good.
I think they just want this chapter done, and they want to be able to move on to get complete closure with this.
Right.
You know, it was 38 years.
You know, and listen, you know, we've all lost people that are close, family members. I believe you never really have complete closure ever, because it's always there. But you know, once you incorporate it into your life in a good way, and I believe that, you know, someone said a quote once, like, you know, you never truly die until your name is mentioned for the last time. So
Pretty much. I mean,
keep it out there, and
pretty much. I mean, I lost my father over 60 years ago. I was 4.5 years old. And, you know, as with the family, you know, every kid in every generation is named after my dad. I named my daughter after my dad. My son named his son, my grandson, his middle name is named after my dad.
There you go. Keep it alive.
You perpetuate the name, you perpetuate the memory, because once we are gone, they're going to go, who?
Yeah.
You know, and then they're going to have, they'll know who. And it's the same thing with this.
Right, exactly. So back on to switch gears a little bit. How is it finding parts for this car? Because I mean, there were compressors all over the place, but
They used to be, they were all cabs. They were all places. All of a sudden,
dollar cars.
now
in
you're
Brooklyn, like
dealing
Chris.
with donks out of Florida. I mean, we
well,
ended
that's
up, we got a car that came to us from Columbus, Ohio, that was donated to us, that had been an old police car. We had another car. We actually got a running car out of Lindenhurst that had a really nice chassis on it. And then we got an ex-police car that one of my scrounger buddies, Rob, dragged out of some swamp in Pennsylvania for us, that we just needed some of the sheet metal off, like for the roof on the C post and the B post. He was able to get that car for us. So and then plus whatever was usable in Eddie's car. Been hard. They do make aftermarket parts, but they're Chinesium, and they don't know it properly. We had an issue with one of the fenders, because the fenders, the inner structures were rotted out on the originals, and you couldn't use them. Literally, when you tap that car, just piles of rust came off. So we had to go in there and clean it up. And then we also had our first biggest problem was making a plan. How deep do we go with this? Do we go be deep? Or do we go, and we just put a little lipstick on a pig and call it a day? And it's just, that wasn't our style.
No, you got to do it right.
No, you had to do it right. And of course, when it was set up inside, it's got to be drained of every fluid. So there's no grease in the axle, there's no tranny fluid. When we opened up the transmission, we took out a gallon of salt water out of there, opened up the bottom of the engine, took out a gallon of salt water there. The antifreeze had gelled up so badly in the water passages that it was like hardened like cement. So we cleaned out some of that. The brake fluid had to come out, the power steering fluid had to come out. Anything that held fluid or had fluid in it was gone, and we took it all out. Antifreeze, everything.
You didn't have to worry about the power steering pump, at least.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, John. We've all done restoration work on cars, and there's those stages of the game where, you know, the purchase, which is always the fun part, but then it's all that dirty work, and then you get into the middle where you're doing interim stuff, and then you get to the clean stuff at the end. What's your favorite part of the project?
I like the finished product. I like the build, because you got into that point.
Okay.
And especially with Jason, and I just did it with my car, where I sucked an oil pump about a year ago, and I ended up rebuilding the whole car. But not only did I just do the car, I had to do everything, the heater core, I had to do everything. So when you start rebuilding component parts that you can't get anymore inside of a vehicle, and you're going down to that detail, when you see the dashboard in this car, Jason put this thing back to where it was brand new. I mean, only because that's the only way he would do it. The rest of the car the parts that we use, able to restore them back to where they were. That's my thing. I like rehab, restoration. I don't necessarily like changing out parts and swapping things, but there's certain things we had to do. But when you start putting it back and you start to see that final project come together, that final look, you know, all the sweat and agony and, you know, the smashed fingers and the cut fingers and all that stuff that got you to that point. Now you start to see it come together. And you just can't wait to get excited. I mean, we've been teasing people now because Jason doesn't want to put a video out of what we're doing with the car now. The next time someone's going to see this car as it's being dedicated. But we put a teaser out. We did a restoration on the roof light. You know, we put that out. He put pictures up on the Facebook page the other day.
Where can people find that information?
So we have a couple of things going on. On Facebook, you can find us under the Police Officer Edward Byrne Foundation.
That's Byrne for those who don't know.
Right. And then also we have a website of the same name. It's got a direct link to the Facebook page. There's also a link if you want to click on if you want to send us a small tribute. We'd appreciate that. All monies are being used for the restoration. And we're setting up a scholarship fund. So it's a two-bit thing we're doing here. We're doing not only for the car restoration, but continuing education for a future, a child or two children actually who are going to have a future either in law enforcement or in school or whatever they want to do. But, we're going to give them a hand up if we can, and hopefully you can keep that in perpetuity.
That's great.
The other part of the car is, because it's a 501c3, it is a learning lesson here. This is a thing about situational awareness. There's a thing in the NYPD, when you come in, there's certain things you remember and certain things you forget. And most people now don't know who Eddie Byrne is. Mm-hmm. We're going to bring that to the front. We want you to know who Eddie Byrne was. We don't know who Scaringello and Rainey were, who Port Tasula was. All these guys who have given up their lives in a line of duty so that these guys can continue on and have a job. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is to honor our heroes, because you know what? After a while, out of sight, out of mind. And there's a phrase we always use: never forget. Right. And this is one thing you will never forget. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
John, once the car is done, where's it going?
It is going to go into the NYPD's Police Academy in College Point. They've agreed to put it in the building. We just had a meeting with them. They've been phenomenal with our staff, with us and then their staff. The chief in charge of training, she's been great. Her dad is an old favorite of mine. I work for him. They are willing to take out 16 feet of cement block wall for us to get this car into the building, because there's no means of egress into the building for a car. Wow. Without taking apart half the building. So they didn't want to take apart the outside doors, but they had a maintenance shop that we can get it through, and there was a cement block wall, and they said, yeah, we'll take it right out.
That's great.
I'm cool. I'm down with that.
That's great.
We have the spot picked out. Everybody agreed. The facilities management people were like, yeah, whatever you need, whatever you want. Yeah. Another guy that I work with, he hooked us up with a set designer from a former TV show that was filmed in New York. He's going to help us stage the car. We have all kinds of things that we want to do. It's not just putting a car in a hallway with, surrounded by museum glass. We're going to do AV displays. We're going to have some artifacts. We have a uniform. We're going to have a nice little tribute to a young man who, gave up his life.
22 years old. What a
just.
So let me ask you this: will civilians be able to go and see this display?
Well, it all depends on how the NYPD allows access to the building. Right. They do Family Day. They do open houses every so often. So I would think that they would have access to it. I think if they would ask, it shouldn't be a problem. Right. Definitely going to be for what we call MOS, members of the service. Mm-hmm. Guys who are in training here. They have visiting dignitaries all the time. Mm-hmm. They'll get to it. It's. Right now it seems to be the most viable place to put it because of the learning tool that it's going to be. Right. Right now there's nothing set up for the public to visit anything that's NYPD heritage related. We lost a museum in the hurricane.
Yeah, that's a shame.
There's some plans afoot to try to get up and rocking and rolling. Yeah,
I know when I go on vacation or I go down south with my daughters, I always like to go, when I have time, to the local PDs. And a lot of times they'll have a little display set up about their history. Right. And, they'll go back to maybe a horse and carriage. You can see how the department evolved. And, right. And it's just kind of interesting to do.
There is one, they have one, a mini museum they call it. It's over in the confines of the 107 precinct. They have one on the second and third floors. There's a very large museum type setup up there that was done by a good friend of ours, John. He retired, but he still has his hands involved in it. And we're trying to get access to another location so we can take all the artifacts that they had and displays and just get it in one centralized location so people can actually get access to that.
Yeah, that's good. I want to mention too, there was another, you were recently on a podcast that I thought was a very good one. It was Why We Serve. And I guess people can just look for that. And, because John's a tell it like it is guy, Chris. If you haven't figured that out, he's being good now, but he really is a tell it like it is kind of guy. Good. And a lot of that came out in that podcast, which I think people should see that and, and get to get a little more of the flavor of the, and that's a great podcast. I've watched a lot of his episodes. He does some really good stuff with some great retired detectives and all.
He had two of my guys on there too. Vic Ferrari.
Okay.
Was an undergrad. He's a very talented guy, very funny guy. He was always that big Andy Kaufman fan. That's why he took the name. And
good.
He had Mickey Finn. Mickey McMahon was on there. Mickey was also a 1-3 cop. Great detective. We got him as a young pup, and he just made his bones, and he worked his way up, and he's done very well for himself. Maybe he's down in Florida right now, sitting on some beach somewhere.
Nice.
Himself.
Yeah.
Nice.
The bump.
So, I tell you what, we're getting close to the bottom of the hour. Why don't we take our break now? We'll get that out of the way. And Rob didn't leave me the normal thing that he leaves me, so I'm going to have to see. I look at the WHPC weather window. I don't even see the read. It's just gone.
Right. I was going to say it's good to proofread, Ray, but you don't even have anything to proof.
I think he took it with him. No, I got it.
Well, let's put it this way. It's going to be. You found it. Okay, because I was
going to do weather like George Carlin used to do.
The hippy dippy weatherman.
Hey, he's absolutely hippy dippy weatherman. Right. Outside it's bright, followed by some darkness.
Well, I do throw some of that in once in a while. Our WHPC weather forecast is powered by Pantano's Gourmet with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. Great bagels. Today, snow in the morning, which we did not have. I know you had it up in Connecticut. With clearing this afternoon, temperatures in the mid-30s. Tonight, clear skies, low of 17. Tomorrow's going to be the cold day. It's going to be 29. We got to go see Detective Frank tomorrow and honor him. And it's going to get a little warmer. So that's kind of good. We have a warming trend. And let me mention our brand new WHPC app. Have you checked out our brand new app? Well, you can download or update it now to get a closer look, to get closer to your favorite radio station, which is this one, I hope. Record a shout out and we can play it back on the air. That's kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Set the alarm clock to wake up to us, see a list of songs we've played, and enter to win a $200 gift card to Uncle Bacala's Italian Seafood and More on Jericho Turnpike in Garden City Park. You know, it's one of my favorite places. I go there all the time. Plus, enjoy WHPC in your car with our new CarPlay feature. It's available for Apple and Android. Download or update the WHPC app now, and thank you for listening. With that, Chris, do we have an honor group of the hour?
Yes, we do. On this fine Sunday, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour goes to those who drive their classic car and instantly miss the technology of their daily drivers. You suddenly realize just how spoiled your daily driver has made you. Firing your classic car up, you reach for the Bluetooth that doesn't exist. You look for a backup camera that was never even imagined, and you instinctively wait for the dash to light up like a Christmas tree, only to be greeted by 3 gauges and a glowing radio dial with one knob that may or may not work. No lane assist, no touch screen, no warning chimes, just you, the speedometer, a temperature gauge, and some nostalgic vibes.
Ain't that cool?
Yeah.
So if you miss the modern technological comforts after driving your classic car for about 5 minutes, then you are part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour this week.
Listen, don't forget crank windows, vent windows, you know,
got them all.
Exactly.
Manual seats.
Who puts air conditioning in a convertible?
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, so we'll be back just in a little bit. We take care of this business. We'll be back with Jon Schwartz. Ray and Chris, Motormouth Radio. Keep it where you got it on 90.3 WHPC.
I love this show so much. I've always described Motormouth Radio in terms of luxury, value, reliability. People are like, what's a radio show that's luxurious, valuable, and reliable? I'm like, Sunday afternoons on WHPC 90.3 FM. That's the one.
Oh, that's a promo bit. I'm going to isolate that today.
Did I just do a promo?
You did. I love it. This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar lifetime nationwide warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Okay, Mark Warman here from Graveyard Cars, hanging out with my buddies at, what's the name of it again?
Motormouth Radio.
Hey, Mark Warman here from Graveyard Cars, hanging out with my friends at Motormouth Radio. Sunday morning, I don't know what this fat bald guy's laughing about. You'll forget stuff soon enough too, my friend. Be sure to listen When are you guys on? 10 a.m.?
Sundays at noon.
Noon on Sundays.
Excellent. This was
no, you got the promo. The best one was the first one. That's why I was. Because you said, what was the name of this again? That's the promo.
What better presentation could you do than that?
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motor Mouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
All right, we're back. Motor Mouth Radio. Ray, Chris, and John. You can call and talk to us if you like. Speak to John, 516-572-7440 as Barney Miller times out. This is right about the point where Dietrich is smiling, and now Levitt is going to go out the door with his last little horn burst. This one right here. And the door closes. Very good. All right. I love that theme song. One of the best ones in the business.
So we got a text from Mikey Tats at 203-670-4127, who is also, he says in Elmont, a police officer, Nassau County police officer, passed away at the age of 23 in 1989. And he remembers him as well. His name was Anthony T. Dwyer. But he's also looking forward to seeing the finished product, John. So good to hear from Mikey. Thank you so much for checking in on that. More text if you can, 203-670-4127.
Just so you know, I met Mikey at Infinity Records. And we kind of, we talked on Instagram. We were just sharing some stuff last night, in fact. And he says to me yesterday, he goes, I was in Infinity today. I said, so was I. It's like we missed each other by like 10 or 15 minutes. It was crazy. But, yeah, Mikey's a great fan of the show. Good to hear from you, Mike. Give us a call, 516-572-7440. Where do we go from here, John? It's the trials and tribulations of restoring the car.
John, how bad was the rust on this car? I mean, I'm curious. I'm hearing like these spots that you were. When you say roof, what are we talking about? Rust on the roof, not surface.
There was more rust than there was metal. I mean, water not only will cause surface rust, but it also help deteriorate it. There's always that chemical reaction of when rust forms.
Right.
Eats away at metal. It's a very slow process, and this thing had 38 years of sitting rot away.
Well, especially with the salt water, that's the real killer.
Oh, salt water, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You get the galvanic action; it just starts eating away, and you start having mixed metals. You had steel, stainless steel, you had aluminum, you had regular steel, untreated steel, and painted steel, which would rot away. And when you see pictures of, I don't know if you've ever seen them, we have them up on the Facebook page. You can see pictures of what appeared to be a roof. And basically, from the weight of the roof light, the roof collapsed down.
And how heavy is the roof light?
Those roof lights are about 50 pounds. And when you start pushing in, and you got to think of it this way, those roofs are designed, if you flip the car over, they're designed to crush.
I was going to say, I've stood on the roofs of some of my cars. I've danced on them.
So there's inner structure. So the problem was it ate away at the inner structure. It was one thing if you're going to cut the roof off, and we were all set to cut it off and, what they call peel it back and just, put a new one on there. But the inner structure was gone too. So now we had to get a roof that had good structure. So now where do you cut it? So you have to cut it in the sections, but you can't just cut it wholesale right through because you weaken the whole thing. So you got to cut the structure a little lower than you do the regular sheet metal, and you got to kind of piece it together. It's kind of like a big jigsaw puzzle. And then you drill out if there's any metal left where it meets where they call bonding, where they use either bonding material or spot welding. You got to drill out the rivets and take out. Well, when I tell you that the floor rotted from the inner rocker to the inner rocker on both sides, from the firewall on the bottom where it comes down, where it meets the floorboards, was completely rotted up, and then it started rotting its way up, not only up behind the gas pedal, but then it got up behind the heater core, because any spot where water could be trapped and it couldn't readily evaporate, it just laid there and rotted. And then the only place it didn't rot was in the trunk, because the trunk was still on there. And unfortunately, there's about 40 pounds of animal excrement that was in the back that probably protected it and insulated it.
Yeah.
But it did rot out the rocker panels because it just laid in the bottom of the rocker panels on both. I'm sorry, the quarter panels.
I had bought a Nassau RMP years ago. I was going to use it as a body swap car, and the one rear quarter in the side was rotted. I'm like, why did that one rot out? It was a 94 Caprice. someone put road flares in there, and the road flare just kind of
They got wet and expanded.
and just rotted it out.
Anything that could trap water in there.
Oh, yeah.
will. The old GMA body's the same thing.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And also, wherever the leaves go down behind the bulkhead,
Right.
They get trapped in there, and what's the first thing to do? They rot the tops of the frames, or they rot the bottom of the fenders.
Well, back in the 70s, GM would run the AC drain like halfway down the fender,
Right.
because you'd see the rust mark halfway up.
Right, right. And then, we talk about the old square bodies,
Oh, yeah.
The fenders all rotted, front and rear quarters, and the rockers, and the floorboards, and it's like a nightmare. But they make all parts for those things.
Right.
We found one company actually made a right front replacement floor pan for the
Okay.
car.
All right.
The footwell, they called.
Right.
So, go to put it in, doesn't fit.
Oh.
All Chinesium.
Yeah.
But somebody sent that to us for free. So, thank you very much for the donation. We'll either send it back to you, or we're just going to sell stuff. We have so much stuff left over that we're just going to get rid of the parts that we have. Guys been calling us, hey, you got this interior piece, you got that?
Yeah.
It's in a big pile. And anything that had to do with Eddie's car, we're retaining. It's being kept because it's part of the car. Right. And it's still, as far as I know, I'm the only civilian I know of that ever signed out a piece of NYPD property. It's in my name.
Really?
And it's a police card. It's in my name.
Okay.
Which I thought was a little surreal, considering, I'm off the job 15 years.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, okay, I got possession of this car. Okay.
Right. Yeah, well, but, in the grand scheme, it's the right person with the right thing and the right, so it's good.
Well, it's going back to their possession when we're done, so, but they still carry the car on their books, so it's still there.
Okay.
It hasn't been salvaged out, as they say, but
Right.
it's there, and hopefully we'll get it in there. Hopefully by June, that's our game plan. We want to get it in before they do the naming for the Steve McDonald Police Academy building.
Okay.
You don't want to take away anybody else's thunder.
No, of course not. So do they use this event in the academy as a training, like a situational awareness example?
It will be. I mean, we actually would like to sit down with them, maybe put together a lecture or a training segment. One of the things that I did before I left was we had something called the Auto Crime School, and I was the director there. I had two great detectives, but we all are certified New York State police instructors. So we know how to put together lesson plans. We know how to do training. I can, we do a room with 300 people at any given time. So to talk to rookies about subject matter that we know intimately, and then putting it into a lesson plan so that others can do it, I think would be a phenomenal thing.
Without a doubt.
I think you can't have a future living in the present without knowing where you came from.
No. And situational, I mean, I preach that to my wife and daughters all the time, just when they're going out to the store. Situational awareness.
What's the old saying, head on a swivel?
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, I mean, people just have to, Google Eddie Byrne, you'll get the Wikipedia article will tell you pretty much what you need to know in a nutshell. There's nothing really you could, and nothing one man could have done. When you're ambushed, let's face it. I mean, and you can only look one direction at a time.
Right.
So it's a bad situation, and it's, that's what the bad guys do. They look for the bad situation and they capitalize on it.
You mentioned Tony Dwyer before. There was another situation there. What do you do in that situation in the case of his homicide? You can't plan on certain things that are, it's like a car chase. The bad guy knows where he's going. You just kind of along for the ride.
Well, he doesn't know where he's going. He just knows where he's not going.
Right.
So
he doesn't want to go. So
exactly.
It's kind of like instinct. You got to follow along, And
it's like a dance, right? You have to follow the lead of the person in front of you, and they're not always giving you.
Until the dance ends poorly.
Exactly. Yes.
Which it always does.
Usually does.
Well, you kind of hope it doesn't. I mean, I years ago, real quick, I had a little chase down in Van Wyck with a guy in the middle of the day tour, and some guy was in a Volkswagen Jetta. Turns out the guy was in a wheelchair, but it was a stolen car. So, of course, they come over to you and stop chasing. So, all right, we're just under observation, blah, blah, blah. And what the last thing you want to do is call the guy on the radio, hey, boss, you got to respond. We had an accident. You don't want to say that because he already told you don't chase. I'm like, no problem. Got it covered. So we're following along, just watching him. This guy lost control and hit a wall. We stopped far enough away that he didn't hit us. Well, so we thought. He hit so hard into the wall, he bounced off the wall, came back and hit the front of the car.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So cracks the head of panel. It was an old Grand Fury, all right, let me get the duct tape out. So
right.
Boss shows up. They go, I told you not to chase. We didn't. We were following. He hit the wall and bounced off. Now, how we had a camera, we would have been okay.
Right.
I had to walk for 2 days.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I got the car fixed, so this way it was back in service. That was the biggest fear back in the day. You lose a car to an accident, the car's out of service.
Right.
So now they're down a car, and then all of a sudden people complaining, you wrecked the car, what are you doing? But, all right, I'll rest that.
It's part of the job. I mean, part of the it's what
Listen,
happens.
we used to keep cars rolling. We had 5 cars out of service one day. Front brakes. Somebody went behind when a car opened up the gas tank. JB Weld.
Oh,
Love
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
We fixed the hole in the gas tank with JB Weld. We did sergeant's pass the hat. We bought brake pads. We got brake pads donated to us.
Really?
Yeah, I spent one night in the garage. I got 5 cars back in service. They were down to like 3 cars.
Oh, wow.
And in the command, you needed to have at least 6 or 7 running. So I got 5 cars back up and running like within 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just doing brakes in the garage.
Yep.
And
Chris found out that bubble gum works very good for gas tank repair too, right?
Yes.
It crystallizes. There's something between the gas and the sugar.
it's the gum. It's the gum. It's the sugar in the gum. Yeah, it will do that. But JB Weld, we made a big epoxy out of it, and that was a brand new car too.
They actually make JB Weld fuel tank repair. They make a special one. Yeah.
Now they do.
Yeah, I've used it.
We used it on the Model A too. We had a little problem with the tanks. We had to do a little fixing.
Gravity feed fuel system. Yeah.
Dude, I'm surprised people don't burn up on those cars.
I know.
You're driving along and what's between you and the engine? A hot engine.
Right.
Oh, the gas tank. Oh, you want heat? We get this open flame heater that goes right past the gas tank.
Kerosene.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. It's amazing, right?
Rolling bomb.
Kerosene lanterns on the Model T.
Yeah, I'll drive an extra blanket. Thank you very much.
Yeah. An asbestos one. Yeah. An asbestos one.
John, how hard was it to get the soft stuff for? Because I know, like police interiors, I drive an old Explorer, an ex police car, so I know how durable the interior can be. Yeah, right. How are the seats? How was the front and rear seats on the?
So we actually found a gentleman down in Baltimore. The seat that was in the car, the material was viable, but the inner structure to the seat, like this wire, impregnated with the foam, and then the seat cover goes over the foam. So what happened is we were just going to redo the foam because the wire was gone. We had seat cushions to put the vinyl over, but the vinyl just started to crumble. So we decided to leave them as it were. There's plenty of cars out there that were ex-police cars that guys have parts, and they go from year to year. Like you can use parts from 87 all the way up to like a 90. And then they went to the new body style. So, 91, well, 92 really, 92 and 93, they're different style seats. But the material is still out there. And a big plug for A&B Upholstery. He's got the material.
While we're talking about parts and people who do the right thing, what about chrome?
Yeah.
So all the metal on that car that you can't get, we had to retain and we reused. And we had to have it polished out and repaired. Nassau Chrome. That guy was such a gentleman. Jason went in there. He had some pieces with him. The guy looked at him and goes, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. No problem. That's what he said to us. And we were blown away by his generosity and the quality of the work that he did. And he just put it to the top of his list, and he polished out all the pieces that we needed done. You can't even tell. Well, we actually left some patina, and there was a couple of dents here and there, and we said, just leave them, because it's the history to the car. You wanted those. Wow. There's a story to every dent in every car.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So those are the original bumpers that came off the car. You didn't swap them out.
No, the bumpers were rotted. They were just rotted. The inner structures were gone. So General Motors, when they built stuff to save weight, they use aluminum frames on the insides of the steel bumpers.
Right.
And then they mount them up to steel shock absorbers, the safety absorbers. So you had a lot of galvanic action there. And what happened was the aluminum started to go. You couldn't get it apart. And then it just started to powder on us. And then the bottoms of the bumpers.
How do you do for bolts? Because I'm sure you need a lot of new bolts and nuts.
You know what? I got to tell you, I got a little secret. You can buy this stuff actually at Harbor Freight.
Evaporust. Yeah.
Love the stuff.
I've used it. Yeah, I use it.
Love the stuff. Let me tell you something. We took crusty parts. We made a dip. It's almost like we had our own acid bath.
Right.
But it's bio-friendly. Yeah. So we just, every time we did a segment in the car, everything got labeled. We knew what was in the juice, and we just threw it. I did it with my car, and I did it with this. We just threw the stuff, and it came out perfect.
Yeah.
Whatever didn't come out 100%, we had 3 other donor cars that had bolts. We cleaned them off. I probably went through about a dozen wire wheels.
Yeah.
I have 2. I had a fast running and a slow running. We used the brass, and we used the bronze. We used the bronze wheel, and we used a regular steel wheel, and we cleaned up the bolts, and they came out pretty good. And you could also buy a lot of stuff, but it's the hardened bolts, the grade 8s that you can't get.
The bigger sizes are a little harder to get, but
right. And you run the risk of snapping them when you're taking them apart. So we got to be very, very careful with that. PB. Yeah. We went through a lot of cases of PB just to get stuff loosened up, and it just like I said, it was a process. We had to disassemble. reassemble after remanufacturing. So it's like, okay. And sometimes you had to disassemble 3 cars to get one good part.
Right. Well, luckily you had the cars too. It's like you watch shows. The guys his own junkyard. Yeah, we'll go out in the yard and we'll just pick
we had
apart.
the cars, but we had the space too, which was the most important.
That really
thing.
helps. Yeah,
that spot that we were in was perfect. I mean, the building's 200 feet long by 40 feet deep, and bit by bit we set up a whole shop in there, and it gets done. And it's like I said, it's just to watch it unfold. And as it happens, like, wow,
that's when you want like a time lapse video. Just have the camera run and you do a time lapse fast motion. So, did you guys have a set work schedule, or did you just kind of go when you had the time?
Yeah, we had. Well, some of the guys still work part-time gigs. My thing is, I got to get up in the morning, feed the dogs because my wife is working. So I got to take care of the dogs. I do this, and I got to get in a car, drive over there. I know Jay works Monday and Tuesday. Some of the other guys had other responsibilities. So we tried to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as best as we could. Sometimes we would come in on a Thursday. I know Jason would go over there sometimes by himself overnight because he just couldn't help himself. I think the first night we got the car back, he went in that night and he had to put the grill on because he just couldn't help himself. Dude, he said, we're going to go slow. We're going to wait. No, he was in there. He had to put stuff on. He was like a kid at Christmas. I got to, I got to get this chrome on. I got to get this on. I'm like, dude, slow.
Well, that's the way it goes when you're doing a restoration on your own car. Sometimes these things, you just put the badge on, and now the fender looks right. It's just certain things are kind of
funny. I just came up on my phone memories. I put my GTO back on the road about 10 years ago, and I'm like, I remember when that was a 14-month restoration.
Right.
And I had the final picture right before we went over to Mikey to do the soft top, and I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I went through all that 9 years ago. And I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
But the enjoyment was you putting the jewelry on the car, you putting the trim, you putting the grill back on, you putting the fender trim, you're getting the.
I know, like with my own GTO, I have finned grills over the taillights, and I had a really good set of NOS ones. They looked great when the car was primed and all, but once it got painted, I was like, man, you know what?
Different animal.
$600. Yeah. Got to buy a new pair and just got to do it.
Yeah. Well, I got used to, it's funny. I restored the grills on mine. You can't find them. The honeycomb grills, you can't find them. So I learned the proper color they use was orange and silver, and I learned how to tape it off, and I did it all. And when it came back together, now it looked perfect. So now when I get a bug on there, I lose my mind because you don't know how many hours I got in this, and you ruined it.
I did the same thing. I restored the grills. Mine are pot metal. They're heavy. They're heavy. But the outer rim is chrome, so the polisher took care of that.
Same problem with mine.
I did the orange and silver and the black. I did it by hand. And there's a couple little pits, little pimples that are in there. But you know what? It's an original part, and I was happy to have it on there.
Because you can't get those redone. Nobody knows how to re-chrome pot.
Exactly.
It's like they can't redo that metal.
So John, a honeycomb grill. So it's a 72?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's a T30, T37 nose.
T37.
Well, no, it's not a T37. I got to take it back. It's let me get it. I got to get the numbers right. I just had a brain fart. It's a Le Mans Sport, with the T41 nose. It's got the whole.
Oh, okay, got it.
It was ordered that way. Believe it or not, it was a 400 tranny with air conditioning on a convertible.
Nice.
Yeah, I like air conditioning in a convertible. It's choices.
No. I like it. My wife has an Audi convertible, and it's nice with that when you put because it car's triple black. So even when you're driving around with the top down, you're getting a breeze. Let me put the AC on, and that car's chilly.
Yeah.
The GTO is a little different because the wind whips around. You're fine. Who cares? You can't hear anything anyway. You don't feel anything, and it doesn't matter. You just in your own little world.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. How long have you had the car?
That car.
How long have you had the GTO?
Could be 12 years now, 13. Yeah, I got it in 14. Yeah, 12 years. It was like a little gift to me when I retired.
Nice.
Very cool.
Second time.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Nice. So when is the car going to be finished? When's the
When's it going to be finished? I don't know.
When's the car going to be finished?
How old am I now? Let's see.
What's the date you're shooting for? Let's put it that way.
So we actually have stuff going on. We just finished restoring the roof light, so we're looking to get that installed onto the car this coming up week. Although Frank's retirement just changed things around.
Ooh.
Yep, we got a call.
You know what? This is going to be an interesting one. Let's go back to the phone and say hi, caller. You're on with the Motor Mouths and John.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Rich from Long Island Mopars. How are you guys?
Oh, hi, Rich. How are you?
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Hello. First off, I want to say you guys are doing an outstanding job with this restoration. I think it's a beautiful thing, a wonderful cause. Really got to tip my hats to you guys.
Thank you, Rich.
I was notified it all started with me in the club by one of my members, Cliff. He said, hey, can you shoot something out to the club? And absolutely, not a problem. This is what we're all about.
Right.
So he put me in touch with John over there. John's got an 84 Fury, I believe, right, John?
It's 86, yeah.
86. Okay, so we made him a member of the club immediately. So you're an instant club member. We make it painless.
Actually, Rich, you made me a member of the club too a number of years ago. So.
That's right. You better get a Mopar, right?
Well, I had one. I did sell it. I still have some parts. I got parts for an e-body that I'm dying to sell. So I'm waiting for the buy and sell to come back up because I got to get rid of these parts.
Hey, Rich, how about a C-body convertible?
That qualifies.
Yeah.
I got a 300.
We love those. So
I got a 69 300 convertible.
When I put this, shot this email out to my club, one of my other club members. Do you guys know Sal Petronzio?
I know who Sal is.
I don't know Sal.
I know Sal.
You know Sal. Okay, nothing but good things to say about Eddie. I'm reading right from his email. He was sworn in to the NYPD in August of '87, I guess when it was before they were merged. And he said Eddie was nothing but a good guy, always smiling as I remember him. So
nice.
Nothing but kind words for Eddie.
Yeah, very good.
That's good to hear.
Well, Rich, thanks for putting it out to the network. I appreciate that. I hope people got to hear this. And if they didn't, they can go later on. This show goes up on YouTube. It'll be on Motormouth Radio and Motormouth Video. Both pages are on YouTube, and people can watch and listen along and catch it later on. And then they can see. Chris, this is the tribute shirt for the.
Yes, I see. Very nice. Look at it. Right, I love it.
And
great shirt.
Purchase these, John.
We still have a limited supply of shirts. You could send us a message through Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
You could post on a page. We monitor it daily. If we have it, we have it. We've gone through, 7 orders so far. We just keep getting blown out. So it's very time consuming on the shirts,
really,
but we do have some.
Very nice shirt, too comfortable. It feels like it's going to be nice in the summer, too.
Yes.
All right. Anything you guys need, let me know for sure. I'll put it out to the club. We'll be more than willing to help you out.
Great. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for the call. And Rich,
thanks,
listen,
guys.
we got to get you in here one day, too. We'll talk about the club. We'll get you into the studio again.
I was in twice, but I'll come in a third time.
Okay. I'll be in touch.
Okay. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Rich.
Bye.
Take care, Rich.
So we are getting close to the end. We're going to be wrapping shortly. John, let's put out the contact information again, how people can find out about this great cause. And
the best way, if you have social media, is Facebook. It's the Police Officer Edward Byrne Foundation. We're on, you're on the page. You have access to us. You can get messages to us. We also have a website, same name, Police Officer Edward Byrne Foundation. The website has a link to the Facebook page. There's a link if you want to make a tribute. We also have a Fund the First, Police Officer Edward Byrne Foundation, if you care to make a donation that way. We have a P.O. Box, Police Officer Edward Byrne, at P.O. Box 1062, North Massapequa, New York, 11742, I believe. And then you could always reach out to us one way or the other. Some people find us whenever they need to. And we'll usually maintain presence at all the car shows.
Yeah, the word does go out, that's for sure. Well, that's good. Well, John, I thank you for coming in. This is something we wanted to do for a while. And we've been juggling days off and traveling and then station closures because of snow and all sorts of crazy crap. So I'm glad we finally put it together.
I appreciate that.
And
Thank you
we
for
can.
the opportunity.
You want to come back when the car is done? We can talk about it again, and we talk about other stuff. We talk about car stuff because we're all in the same community.
Yep. Sure.
And so, with that said, Chris, what do we say to the people waiting for us outside with a truck full of wrecked cars they want restored that we're not going to do?
Don't follow us home, and please send a donation to the fund. It really will help out.
Excellent. All right, John, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chris.
We're back with next week with more Motormouth Radio. Maybe we'll have a guest, maybe we won't. But we'll be here on 90.3 WHPC. See ya.
Thank you, John. See you. Bye.
This show is brought to you by On the Road Again Motorcycle School. Hi, I'm Steve Bertolini, the president